Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivakacharya Astadada Sata Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivakacharya Astadada Sata Srimad Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinata Jamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Harinam Sankirtana Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Garanga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Just waiting for my computer to wake up. It just shut down. I just have to get my notes. Oh my goodness. Give me 1 second. Just a second. Everything is totally rebooting. Okay. Oh my goodness, I've lost everything somehow. Hold on. I can't understand what happened. Let's see. Yeah, I've got it's all gone. I don't know what happened to my stuff. So I will have to maybe, yeah, it's completely gone. I don't know how that happened, but anyway. Yeah, but then it doesn't come up. Yeah, so I don't. No, it's not that. So we will just have the book. Get me a book, we'll have to do that way. I think so. Very strange. Krishna doing some little tricks on me that I have to use no notes. All right. Actually, wait. The verse for today. Okay. All right. So this is a new experience. I don't think I can even see without lights. All right. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Readings from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25, text number 38. Nakarhichan matpara santarupe Nangshantino me nimisoledi hiti Yesham maham priya atma sutascha Sakha guru suhrido daivamishtam Nakarhichan matpara santarupe Nangshantino me nimiso ledhi heti Yesham maham priya atma sutascha Sukha guru suhrido daivamishtam. Gentlemen. Nakarhicham matpara santarupe Nakshanti no me nimiso ladihati Yesham maham priya atma sutascha Sakha guru suhrido daivamistam Nakarhichan matpara santarupe Nakshanti no me nimiso ladihati Yeshamaham priya atma sutascha Sakha guru suhrido daivamistam. Somebody else? Ladies? Nahar kishan mat parasanta rupe Yashanti no me nimiso ladihati Shamaham priya atma sutascha Sakha guru suhrido daivamistam. Somebody else? Nakarhichin mat parasanta rupe Nakshanti no me nimiso ladihati Yeshamaham priya atma sutascha Sakha guru suhrido daivamistam. not. Kahichit, ever. Matpada, my devotees. Santarupe, O Mother. Nakshanti, will lose. No, not. May, my. Animisa, time. Ledhi, destroys. Heti, weapon. Yesham, of whom. Aham, I. Priya, dear. Atma, self. Sutta, son. Cha, and. Saka, friend. Guru, preceptor. Suhrida, benefactor. Daivam, deity. Istam, chosen. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Lord continued, my dear mother, devotees who receive such transcendental opulences are never bereft of them. Neither weapons nor the change of time can destroy such opulences, because the devotees accept me as their friend, their relative, their son, their preceptor, benefactor, and supreme deity. They cannot be deprived of their possessions at any time. Please repeat. The Lord continued, my dear mother, devotees who receive such transcendental opulences are never bereft of them. Neither weapons nor the change of time can destroy such opulences, because the devotees accept me as their friend, their relative, their son, preceptor, benefactor, and supreme deity. They cannot be deprived of their possessions at any time. Purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. This is a really long purport, so you have to bear with me. It's enormous. It's pretty much will take the whole class. Probably good thing. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that one may elevate himself to the higher planetary systems, even up to Brahmaloka, by dint of pious activities. But when the effects of such pious activities are finished, one again comes back to the earth to begin a new life of activities. Thus, even though one is promoted to the higher planetary system for enjoyment and a long duration of life, still that is not a permanent settlement. But as far as the devotees are concerned, their assets, the achievement of devotional service, and the consequent opulence of Vaikuntha, even on this planet, are never destroyed. In this verse, Kapila Deva addresses his mother as Santa Rupa, indicating that the opulences of devotees are fixed because devotees are eternally fixed in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, which is called Santa Rupa because it is in the mode of pure goodness, undisturbed by the modes of passion and ignorance. Once one is fixed in the devotional service of the Lord, his position of transcendental service cannot be destroyed, and the pleasure and service simply increases unlimitedly. For the devotees engaged in Krishna consciousness, in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of time. In the material world, the influence of time destroys everything. But in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of time or of the demigods, because there are no demigods in the Vaikuntha planets. Here, our activities are controlled by different demigods. Even if we move our hand and leg, the action is controlled by the demigods. But in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of the demigods or of time. Therefore, there is no question of destruction. When the time element is present, there is the certainty of destruction, but when there is no time element, past, present, or future, then everything is eternal. Therefore, this verse uses the words na nangshanti, indicating that the transcendental opulences will never be destroyed. The reason for freedom from destruction is also described. The devotees accept the Supreme Lord as the most dear personality and reciprocate with him in different relationships. They accept the Supreme Personality as the dearmost friend, the dearmost relative, the dearmost son, the dearmost preceptor or guide, the dearmost well-wisher, or the dearmost deity. The Lord is eternal. Therefore, any relationship in which we accept him is also eternal. It is clearly confirmed herein that the relationships cannot be destroyed, and therefore the opulences of those relationships are never destroyed. Every living entity has the propensity to love someone. We can see that if someone has no object of love, he generally directs his love to a pet animal like a cat or a dog. Thus, the eternal propensity for love in all living entities is always searching for a place to reside. From this verse, we can learn that we can love the Supreme Personality of Godhead as our dearmost object, as a friend, as a son, as a preceptor, or as a well-wisher, and there will be no cheating and no end to such love. We shall eternally enjoy the relationship with the Supreme Lord in different aspects. A special feature of this verse is the acceptance of the Supreme Lord as the Supreme Preceptor or Guide. Bhagavad Gita was spoken directly by the Supreme Lord, and Arjuna accepted Krishna as Guru or Spiritual Master. Similarly, we should accept only Krishna as the Supreme Spiritual Master. Krishna, of course, means Krishna and his confidential devotees. Krishna is not alone. When we speak of Krishna, Krishna means Krishna in his name, in his form, in his qualities, in his abode, and in his associates. Krishna is never alone, for the devotees of Krishna are not impersonalists. For example, a king is always associated with his secretary, his commander, his servant, and so much paraphernalia. As soon as we accept Krishna and his associates as our preceptors or guides, no ill effects can destroy our knowledge. In the material world, the knowledge with which we acquire may change because of the influence of time, place, and circumstances. But nevertheless, the conclusions received from Bhagavad Gita directly from the speeches of the Supreme Lord Krishna can never change. There is no use interpreting Bhagavad Gita. It is eternal. Krishna, the Supreme Lord, should be accepted as one's best friend. He will never cheat. He will always give his friendly advice and friendly protection to the devotee. If Krishna is accepted as a son, he will never die. Here we have a very loving son or child, but the father and mother, or those who are affectionate towards him, always hope, "May my son not die." But Krishna actually never will die. Therefore, those who accept Krishna or the Supreme Lord as their son will never be bereft of their son. In many instances, devotees have accepted the deity as a son. In Bengal, there are many such instances, and even after the death of the devotee, the deity performs the Shraddha ceremony for the father. The relationship is never destroyed. People are accustomed to worship different forms of demigods, but in Bhagavad Gita, such a mentality is condemned. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to worship only the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his different forms, such as Lakshmi Narayan, Sita Ram, and Radha Krishna. Thus, one will never be cheated. By worshiping the demigods, one may elevate himself to the higher planets, but during the dissolution of the material world, the deity and the abode of the deity will be destroyed. But one who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead is promoted to the Vaikuntha planets, where there is no influence of time, destruction, or annihilation. The conclusion is that the time influence cannot act upon devotees who have accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead as everything. Wow, that's a lot of reflection. Srila Prabhupada was on a roll when he was in the middle of the night translating all of this and speaking into a microphone that later got transcribed. So when Kapila Muni, who is incarnation of the Lord also, talking to his mother Devahuti, when he's talking about the devotee, he's talking about the unalloyed pure devotee of the Lord. There are several kinds of devotees. Are people who come to Krishna. There are the person who comes because they're desperate, they're in need, and so they're looking for some kind of shelter, protection. Somebody who's desperate for money, so they may approach the Lord for wealth or money. Then there's the person who's inquisitive, somebody who has a lot of questions and they're looking for the meaning of life. And so they reach out to the Lord seeking for meaning or the answers to life. And then you have the person who's wise, who actually has knowledge and recognizes the Lord as being the Supreme Person. So they immediately take shelter. They understand it from either many lifetimes or even many years in a particular lifetime. When they meet the Srimad Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Gita, it resonates with them so clearly that they immediately take it up. So what he's explaining here is that such a person accepts Krishna as their friend, as their relative, as their guide, and as their well-wishing friend or benefactor, and their supreme deity. And they cannot be deprived of their possessions at any time. So what, in fact, does a Vaishnava actually possess? You know, what is it? What are their opulences, really, in the spiritual sense? And what comes to mind, and what is explained here, is the main opulence that we have, if we can acquire that relationship with the Lord, is that we enter into something that can never be taken away, even at the point of death. It's such a powerful thing. Some of you may know that a lot of the work I've done is bedside with people who are dying. So I see a lot of people who die. And the death is considered to be the final exam. So whatever our consciousness has been absorbed in the moment of death is what we will naturally think of at the point of death. So a lot of times we don't think about that until death comes. And I've seen a lot of people who are completely surprised that they are dying, even though they've seen parents die and friends die, and a lot of people die in the newspaper. I mean, everybody knows that we're in God's waiting room. This is just not going to last forever. And I remember my 95-year-old mom, when I was taking care of her right before I came to Australia, she was no longer able really to do a lot of walking, was in a walker, and used to sit all day watching television and politics and petting her cat. And I was there. I would cook for her prasadam, and I took care of her groceries and did all the things that she would used to do. And she felt pretty well situated. But she was not stupid. She said, I just am waiting for the shoe to drop. You know, this is that I know that in one point or other, the shit's going to hit the fan, you know, and then it will all be downhill. You know, she knew this was her last few weeks, months, whatever happened. And indeed, when I moved to Australia, not too long after, it was a few months, maybe a year, I get a phone call from my sister that she has fallen. I had been speaking with her every week religiously for years and years and years, and now she was not available. She had fallen and broken her hip, and that immediately took her to emergency room, and she never came home. 3 months in a nursing home was the most devastating thing that happened to her. But she knew, which most people don't know until death is happening. They don't think about it. And so the beautiful thing about her is that she was a very devout Christian, and she had a prayer life. That was something that kept her afloat. When she had nothing else, she could turn to God in prayer, whatever the God of her understanding was. And the sad reality was, as I came back to Australia and I didn't get to be with her bedside. And as nursing homes do, often they take elders and they medicate them so strongly as that they're sleeping all the time or they're unconscious. And my personal opinion is that a lot of times they pump them with so much morphine that they kind of peacefully let them go, which is what I think happened, very sadly. But we have this wonderful opulence that we have available to us, which she didn't know, and that is that we can make the absolute truth that is within our hearts and in the hearts of all living beings our best friend, so that when we cross over and everything falls apart, our body's destined to fall apart. Some of us know this already in our 70s. We know, oh my goodness, I'm just a fall away, I'm just a stroke away before, Krishna's going to call me home. So, but that's not a guarantee that old age is necessarily what is going to take us out. We have plenty of children and teenagers who die. So death is not necessarily just for old people. And the reason why I'm saying this is that this is such a great opulence that we have this relationship that we can call on, this beautiful vision. We come every day and we take darshan, and that's going on our mind somewhere, leaving impressions. And we hear the sound of the holy names so that when we can no longer chant it, that will be there too in the voices of others. It's okay. So what I was saying is that these opulence, this is such a wealth. If you think of opulence as wealth, when you read that, you're thinking, opulence, I'm thinking gold and jewels and diamonds and silk and beautiful things. No, the opulence of a Vaishnava is that we can call up Krishna from within our heart and say, help me, I don't know what to do now. At this moment where our life is just shutting down. It's the greatest thing that when our back is against the wall and we don't know what to do, we have this secret connection that is eternal and never goes away. And for me, that's something money can't buy. I mean, you can buy all the things in the world, you can make a safe home, you can have a security guard out your home, but that is not going to necessarily save you from the moment of death. I like to, I'm really going way off topic, but this is what's coming up for me right now, and you're going to have to bear with me for another 5 minutes. There was a few years ago, I realized that, the story of Hiranyakasipu, that we always, let me not die in the daytime and the nighttime, let me not die in the air or the land, let me not die by a man or a human or by a weapon, and all these different things. But then I realized that so much of what we do is like we think, oh, Hiranyakasipu is this grotesque demon who's not at all like us, because we're certainly not like that. We're not so envious of Krishna. But then I realized, well, what are we doing? We are, most of us, struggling very hard to survive. That's what we're trying to do. So we think, well, if I have enough money, if I have enough in me, people who know me closely, if I have a solar power, solar power, so then the water doesn't go off, and then we have water, so that we can flush the toilets, and so we can take a shower. And I thought, well, that's exactly what Hiranyakasipu was doing. He was thinking, well, let me die because we have no water in the shower. Let me at Krishna pad. Let me not die because we don't have electricity. Let me not. Well, that's exactly the mentality of struggle for survival. Instead of taking shelter like Prahlad Maharaj and just trusting. He had such fearlessness because he was like a kitten in the mouth of the mother cat, being grabbed by her teeth in her mouth, but he knew, I'm safe, this is my mother kitten. So in this sense, the opulence we have, having this deep friendship in a relational mood with the Supreme Lord, who is the eternal source of life, who never dies and is within us, pervading every cell of our body, at the point of death, it's such a wonderful thing to grab hold of, because we know we just have to, just a few moments, Prabhupada said. Death is like closing your eyes, and when you open them, you're there with Krishna. Can you imagine, just getting on a subway and putting your ticket in, and then, bzz, yeah, I'm with Krishna, and so there's so much fear that it's based on this separation from Krishna, or this false ego that keeps us thinking that we're separate from Krishna. That, gosh, if we can just trust and grab hold now, we can experience this Vaikuntha. So in the purport, Prabhupada's talking about the pure devotee is destined for a place free from anxiety called Vaikuntha. There are many, many different planets. You have 7 upper planets and the heavenly planets and 7 hellish planets. But the Vaishnava is, because they're grabbing hold of something beyond this material creation, subtle and gross, then they go to a place with their consciousness beyond this force of fear and future and time and past and all those things. And Prabhupada describes that all his ISKCON temples are Vaikuntha because the center of our focus is Krishna, in developing this relationship with Krishna, either by offering flowers and garlands and decorations and food and so many things to the Supreme Lord in his deity form, and through the chanting of the holy name. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it describes how in the Vaikuntha planets, that's all people are doing, is they're singing and dancing in congregational chanting of the Lord. Now, guess what? What do we do here? And the most thing we do, on the street we're singing and dancing. In the temple we're singing and dancing. Most of our festivals are food, singing and dancing, and whatever else we're doing, associating. So in some ways we're already in Vaikuntha if we can just grab hold of this process, that we can become in that consciousness where there's no past and future, but I'm just eternally present with Krishna in the sound of his holy name. And when we can enter into that portal or that realm, if we die in that moment, that will take us immediately to that planet. We can cross over all the different other planets or places, even if we're not yet a pure devotee. Prabhupada said that if you can't think of Krishna at the point of death, then Krishna will come and think of you. So it may be someone goes unconscious and they are not, well, you're not aware what they're thinking because hearing is the last sense to go. But what a wealth. Just every moment that we can take shelter of the holy name is such an incredible security that nothing can buy. And I will stop here in a minute, and then I will open it to questions and comments, because you all have heard this long purport, and I'm sure you'll have insights that I haven't remembered. My boss, who is a Catholic priest in Los Angeles, I work from here on Zoom, and I train interfaith chaplains, which means I train Buddhist priests and rabbis and Catholic priests and Protestant pastors and Muslim imams and Jewish rabbis and those things. And suddenly he dies on the surgery. He's in surgery on a kind of a minor surgery. He's had many, many heart surgeries. The surgery, like a quadruple bypass. He's fainted in the driveway. I mean, I've seen him under many situations. And he always bounces back, so nobody thought of anything when, he wasn't responding to emails, and there he is saying, I'm busy. We didn't know he was getting ready to go into surgery. And the last thing he said was to the doctors, please do all you can to keep me alive because I've got a lot of work to do. So he got off they had some kind of a, I guess they call it angina, some kind of a thing where they blow up a thing to put stents in your heart. And he came off the operating table, back to his room. He's already texting people back home and, what are we doing now? I mean, this was a man that I was very, very working hand in glove with, who was a very, very servant heart. I've never seen anyone quite such a servant leader. And he followed the 4 regulative principles. He chanted his own Jesus mantra, and he listened to kirtan on his phone. And so he was always a jolly person, even though he had so much physical ailments and he had so much stress and was holding on to so much responsibility. After he came out of the operating room, he was sitting talking on the phone with one of the chaplains, and they saw the blood pressure was just going down. You can see that on one of those machines, going down, 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 down. So they rushed him back to the operating table, and he just bled to death after that, the incision. And he died on the operating table. But, and the good news is, and I don't say this to gross you out, but the inspiring thing is that all the chaplains who went to see him said they were astonished because he had a grin, a big smile on his face. So whatever he was seeing at that moment gave him joy, in the sense that he must have very instantly, whatever relationship he had, whether it was Christ or Jesus or whatever it was, met him at that other side. So I consider this man a real example of wealth, that he was his whole life performing tapasya. His whole life was about service. But at the same time, he was always absorbed in prayer and praised and compassionate action. So that gives me a lot of hope when I'm reading this about Vaishnavism and opulences. That's our greatest wealth, is that we have this relationship with Krishna, who's in our heart and in the hearts of all others. And we're so, so grateful to Srila Prabhupada for having given us this pathway, because otherwise, without him, I'm sure I would not have understood this on my own. So I'm going to stop here and invite reflections. I'm sure you have insights. Oh, Kalki, thank you for your question. Well, I see if we have a microphone that works. We'll see.
Okay, I've asked a lot of people this question, and I get a different answer every time.
Go right close to your mouth.
Oh, so you're talking about like the heavenly planets and Vaikuntha, and there's this funny paradox in Bhakti Yoga where we're like, oh, we're trying to escape the material world and we want to go back to Krishna, but then Lord Chaitanya said in the Shikshastakam, I don't even desire any kind of spiritual liberation, which some people have said, oh, he meant he doesn't desire to go to the heavenly planets, he wants to go back to Krishna. But isn't like desiring to get out kind of the same as like desiring, it's still a desire, right? Isn't the highest mood where you just kind of want to know Krishna? Or this is my question, like how do you explain this paradox, and does really wanting to get out of the material world change your bhakti? Because then it's like a condition, right? Yeah, am I making sense?
It does make sense, and it's typically what people who are suffering want. They want to get free from the suffering, right? That's why they come to Krishna. That's one of the 4 types of people who come to Krishna. They're desperate, they're wanting money, or they're whatever, they have a problem, so they want to figure out their problem, which is an agenda. They have an agenda. The interesting thing about Lord Chaitanya and anybody who's a pure bhakta is they realize that the spiritual world is right here, right now. It's not somewhere else. It's not like we're going to die and go there. You have to enter Vaikuntha here, and that consciousness takes you there. So if you haven't developed that consciousness, it's unlikely that you're going to go there. Whatever the mind thinks of at the point of death, there you go. So it's not about figuring, I need to go somewhere else, because even then, if you die, you still have to come back and play that out. You're not free. Just like a person who kills themselves because they just, I don't know what to do now, so I'm going to kill myself. That's what I'm going to do, thinking I'm solving my problem. But the problem is that your consciousness is taking you to a ghostly body where you can't play out anything. And if you are fortunate enough that somebody feeds you penda or something, some food offerings, you might get a human birth where you can then continue your fruitive activities. So the pure bhakta is really praying for, give me unconditional love, give me an idea. That's the vision. We want Krishna vision, because that's what will take us to Krishna, not thinking, oh, I'm going to do whatever, and then hopefully at the point of death, I'm going to make it. Maybe. Krishna's kind. I mean, in Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya is very, very merciful. But the reality is that the spiritual world is right here in the sense of consciousness.
The kingdom of heaven is upon us. I think Jesus said
inside,
that.
yeah. Did you?
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So there is a quote by Srila Prabhupada. I probably won't get it verbatim right, but he says something like, if we do not have a pessimistic or negative, I can't remember the word he uses, if we do not have a negative understanding of something of the material world, then there will be no impetus for us to get out. Yeah, I can find the quote. I don't have it right now, but it actually reminds me. For some reason, it makes me reflect on, Srila Rupa Goswami's statement in Upadeshamrita, where he lists, what is to be avoided and what is to be, what to move towards and what is to be avoided. So those things that are to be avoided, we need to understand perhaps that they
prescription,
can be
like
destructive.
a doctor's prescription.
Yeah.
Yeah, so part of what Prabhupada describes as pious activities, I know when I was writing my notes, in the Vedas it talks about pious activities in terms of building roads and water tanks and shade trees on road, on the side of the road. But Prabhupada talked about pious activities as being following these four regular principles, which get a person situated at least in the mode of goodness, which isn't yet Suddha-sattva. It's not pure goodness, but at least from that level, a person can see things as they are and have some inspiration to keep going. But eventually, in order for us to be really free, we have to, our mode of goodness has to be based on our transcendental loving service to Krishna, which will fix us up in that relationship that will take us to beyond this body and false ego. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anything from the men's gallery here? Nothing. What's up? I'm waiting for some wisdom from the Brahmachari ashram. No wisdom. You look pregnant. Okay, he's coming, just now coming. He's coming with some wisdom here.
Thank you so much for class, Mataji. Thank you. You mentioned earlier your mother's understanding of God. And since arriving here, the more I've come to understand about Krishna, about reality, the more daunting it's become. Just like kind of Arjuna when he sees Krishna, and he like drops to his knees. It's a process that is so scary, so hard to at times to feel that he's your well-wisher, that he's your best friend.
Yeah.
Could you speak on becoming less afraid and through developing that relationship with Krishna?
Well, we need to probably shift into this notion of God loves us unconditionally. There's just nothing we can do that Krishna is going to reject us. We already have Krishna's love. We're part of God. How can he not love us? The fear comes from us. It's really us turning our back away from that love. So now we're seeing the shadow and all the scary things that could happen, would happen. My mother probably didn't go back to Godhead, but she probably got a really better destination. She took prasadam, she heard kirtan, so many things that she was at. But I don't suspect she probably went to Godhead. Maybe she went to Jesus or somewhere. That's not my concern, but I know that she had a lot of advantage, and she felt peaceful. But in terms of us, I think the big shift for me has been, as a devotee, moving away from this idea that I've got to earn my way back to Godhead. This is a karma khandiya idea that is very prominent in Hinduism and Buddhism. But by the way, we are not Hindus, we are Vaishnavas. That's a Hindu reform movement Just be clear about that. Sometimes people lump us together. It's really different if you look at other Hindu groups. So we're not trying to earn it. And the whole basis of our service is to be thankful. And we do service as a gift of gratitude. It's a way to reciprocate with Krishna for all he's already given. So we're not trying to get something. It's just a thank you, and I'm going to show my thanks by service, just like in the relationship between the spiritual master who's given us these wonderful books and so much example and guidance. We have so much from Srila Prabhupada that many, many religious organizations are not privy to. We've got so much movies and video, audio tapes. I mean, you can just absorb yourself in the presence of Prabhupada. But it's really about saying thank you. We already have earned God's love. We don't have to. The shame and the guilt and all those fears and stuff, that's us. And who knows, the has to do with our perhaps childhood imprint. I'm not good enough. Mom and dad were always shaming me and criticizing me and judging me. And that's how people generally have been socialized. So we kind of, all the time, beating ourselves, I'm not good enough. So I think, why would God consider me? But why not you, Why not you? He's not looking for anything external. He just wants your love, which can be offered with a leaf, a flower, a little cup of water, but with sincerity. That's the trick. You don't have to be a person of big prestige or, Prabhupada told a story of an old lady in Bengal who would, every day, she was very old, so she had a hard time doing anything much, and would go to the Ganges, walk to the Ganges, like we're probably going to do if we don't have water. We're going to walk all the way down this hill and get ourselves our bath water in a bucket. We're going to walk all the way down at midday and walk all the way back. But this Bengali lady had some kind of a bucket, and she went down and got water from the Ganges, and she would all the way walk back to give to the pujaris to bathe the deities. We kind of take for granted that we turn on a faucet and water comes, So that was a big tapasya for her, but that was her daily ritual. She got up and slowly made to get the bucket, to get the water and bring it up. That was her one offering. Prabhupada said she went back to Godhead for her steadfast contribution and her love. That was where her relationship developed, just through that one thing. So everybody has a different taste in relationship with Krishna. So, find something that what draws your heart, what attracts your heart to Krishna. Maybe it's making e-wicks, for Kartik. Maybe it's, cleaning Krishna's paraphernalia, all of it. Prabhupada says this process is like a sugar tree. Anywhere you bite it, it's sweet. So just hang on to that, and it'll take you to Krishna. Oh, okay, we've got some wisdom here.
Definitely no wisdom, but I got a question for you. So you said the spiritual world is like right here, but the spiritual world is like described, how the grass is like present, is conscious, and is in ecstasy when Krishna stands on him and things like this.
Yeah.
How do we understand that, like, that is present here?
Okay. So when the heart is rightly situated in pure love of Krishna, this curtain or veil that covers our consciousness goes up. And now we see the world in a very different way than we do now. The colors are different. We start to see, especially in a place like this, you start to see, oh my goodness, this is Vaikuntha right here. Prabhupada often, when he went to Hawaii, I think there were some other countries, maybe Fiji, where he said, oh gosh, this is the spiritual world. He was in Switzerland, and he saw these beautiful mountains, and he said, oh look, the demigods are going up and down, We can't see it because our eyes are covered, but as soon as we make that contact with pure love, boy, it's a consciousness shift that you won't forget. And there are people, probably not us, we're mixed devotees at this point, and it may take many lifetimes to be such a person who actually takes birth to continue cultivating their own disciples. Srila Prabhupada chose to descend to this platform in order to help humanity. He didn't have to take birth. But when a person takes disciples, their vow or commitment is that they have to take birth and again to make sure they get back to Godhead. So he was special. We are not Prabhupada. But that's what I understand from pure devotees themselves, is that curtain goes up and you start to see that actually what separates me from the spiritual world is me, because of that disconnection and seeing things separately. Doesn't mean there's not also a place that you go to.
That's what I was going to ask, because, the present moment we can, like you say, be in Vaikuntha, but then it's specifically described how Goloka Vrindavan is, with specific leelas and things like this.
Absolutely, and that's there too, but you may be surprised to find that it's simultaneously both and. It's not an either or, that it's consciousness here takes us to that place. Just like whatever you think of, it's taking you to that place. And so it's a both and you may also be surprised when the curtain goes up to see, there's leelas going on all the time. Srila Prabhupada said this Sankirtan leela was a continuation of Krishna leela. And he used to think of ISKCON in terms of, the Krishna leela stories. So you do make a shift, but that's another conversation for another day. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.